You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons, that's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us, 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Emilio in Tennessee. Just us flying in here tonight to talk some Packers. I know the chat's already absolutely lit up. Mm-hmm. It's funny, every time that I get on here and the chat's lit up, I'm thinking, uh-oh, did the contract drop? Yeah. You're expecting it any second. But how was your day today, Emilio?
Good, man. I was just wondering how early the chat got in here, so I was just trying to see. They got in a little early. I like that. I want to see a little bit sooner, but I think as training camp comes along, man, we're going to have people in here at 5, 6, hitting us with notes and all the goodies. So appreciate the chat being there. And I know Omer was liking the Tucker Craft stiff arm on the Vikings corner there. So appreciate that as well.
Absolutely. So we got several topics we can dive into. We were kind of thinking about doing the San Francisco game as well. We'll see how these first couple topics go. Since it's just me and Emilio, this might be the best time to do the San Fran tape. So we'll we'll play it by ear as we get in there. Obviously, we will have to shut down YouTube if we decide to do the San Francisco 49ers playoff game there against the Packers. But we'll see how it goes. First things first, though, this was pretty cool. Came across the wire earlier today, Emilio. One of my favorite players of all time is what are you smiling about? Somebody in the chat already out?
Yeah, already.
All right, gotcha. So Randall Cobb, me being a Kentucky Wildcat fan, I mean, he's been one of my all-time favorite players. Mm-hmm. He's hands down the player that I was most excited about when the Packers drafted him. I remember exactly where I was. I think it was a Joe's Crab Shack in downtown Louisville, Kentucky.
Wow.
And I got the news that they drafted Randall Cobb in the second round. Let me tell you something. I about stood on the table, bro. I was so excited.
Check, please. I got to go.
Here's the news surrounding Randall Cobb. It says Adam Schefter tweeted out, former NFL Pro Bowl wide receiver Randall Cobb, who played 13 NFL seasons, including 10 seasons with the Packers, is joining the SEC network as a college football studio analyst. Cobb will appear on select editions of SEC Now throughout the fall.
Nice.
Someone who's done any research on Cobby's history, going all the way back to college, like I said, he was recruited very heavily by Kentucky. He decided to sign with he verbally committed to Kentucky, and then all of a sudden he was in Tennessee's backyard. And if you guys aren't aware, it was either Alcoa or Maryland.
Alcoa. It's Alcoa. Dude, yeah. I'm at his cousin's yard, but dude, it's crazy how close it all is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But going over to see it, they got a rivalry. Let me tell you. But just a guy being in the town where the dude came out of. Grew up, went to college, got in the NFL. Highest point. That's awesome, and it's awesome to see that he's still talking ball.
Yeah, and like I said, the Kentucky Wildcats recruited him heavy. He verbally committed to Kentucky, and then Tennessee came and said, "Hey, we want you." And he's like, "No, you guys, you didn't want me." Yeah, the only reason you wanted me was because Kentucky wanted you. And so he goes to Kentucky, and to the best of my knowledge, he's the only player in Kentucky Wildcat history that had a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown. He threw a touchdown pass. He had a punt return for a touchdown and a kick return for a touchdown. So he was just like this all-purpose player. And the reason I bring that up is because him going to SEC Network, and you guys know are well aware, Aaron Rodgers fell in love with Cobby the second he stepped on the field because Cobb was such a smart player. He played the receiver position from a quarterback's perspective, and he was just a team guy, no nonsense, no bull, always first in the building, last one out, top guy. I think he's going to be a great fit for SEC Network. So it's cool to see former Packers get that recognition that they rightfully deserve. And obviously the icing on the cake for Packer fans, I wish he'd have won a Super Bowl, but the fact that he didn't, I'll tell you a good second, I don't know what the right word is, a good second place for that is the fact that he absolutely cut the hearts out of Chicago Bears fans every single year. I mean, so you love to see that. What's your favorite Cobby moment, man? Anything come to mind when it comes to Randall Cobb?
Got to be against the Bears, right? That deep ball on fourth down.
Yeah.
Dude, he's such a dog, right? And like you said, he's super intellectual. Like, I think he's going to really bring that quarterback view, wide receiver. You know, he's lived it, all those points to SEC now. So I think might have to tune in here and there and see what he's up to. Yeah,
definitely. And the other one I think of, and it's not my favorite play by Cobb, but the Hail Mary before halftime against the Giants in the playoffs. You remember that one in Lambeau? Dropped it right in the bucket. Cobby dragging the toes.
Right at the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and to me it created the greatest meme ever too. The fact that they beat the Giants, because I don't know if you guys remember, as Odell Beckham Jr. was leaving Lambeau, he punched a hole in the wall. You guys remember that? He was so mad he punched a hole in the wall. That was that game, and someone immediately photoshopped Aaron Rodgers staring through the hole at him like, "Why'd you do that?" Oh my God, bro! It's the best meme.
Was that the same year he smacked the kicking net and got him too?
Fell on him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was I love it, man. He was a very entertaining player. It just seemed like every other day he was doing something stupid. He being Odell Beckham Jr., not Randall Cobb.
Right.
That Hail Mary before halftime, that one sticks. But the other one too, his very first play as a Packer, the kickoff return after they won the Super Bowl. Right now, obviously he wasn't on the roster, but it was that very next year, if I remember correctly, against the Saints. Opening kickoff, he took it to the house. John Kuhn pretty much picked him up off the ground and said, "Here, go that way, kid."
Yeah,
he ran for a touchdown. Just absolutely nice. So, again, congratulations to Randall Cobb jumping on board there with the SEC Network. I love the SEC Network. I watch it a lot because these people are nuts about their college football down here in the South, and he's going to be a great addition. So, with that being said, we were talking about the camp schedule, Emilio. Man, it's ramping up. Obviously, Monday is the first camp practice at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. That's Monday, July 22nd. I know the guys are already filing in the building. The rookies are pretty much already reported. The quarterbacks too, I believe. But you've also got these Hall of Fame speeches as well. And what's so cool is, like, you get the Hall of Fame game coming up that we said it's going to be on Thursday the 1st. Well, you've got the Hall of Fame induction speeches, which is something I really enjoy every year. I love cracking open a daddy soda, having a couple on hand, and just sitting back and listening to the all-time greats just tell their football story. But here we got Ari Mirov tweeted out, the Pro Football Hall of Fame has announced a speech order for the 2024 enshrinement ceremony, which will take place on August 3rd. Texans legend Andre Johnson will get the honor of closing out the night. The full order is first, Dwight Freeney. Second, Steve McMichael, formal home enshrinement. Because did he pass away? I know he was really, really ill for a long time. I think he may have passed away here recently. He was just one of those guys that, if you guys ever watched WCW wrestling, Steve Mongo McMichael was jumped into the WCW with Kevin Green and those guys for a short stint too. But he's obviously played for the '85 Bears, a great football player there. You got Randy Gradisher. I have never heard of him before. Number 4, Devin Hester. Nice. Obviously, he wreaked havoc as a kick returner. Number 5, Patrick Willis. Emilio, you talked about him a little bit. Patrick Willis.
What a dog. I mean, growing up, he was the linebacker you wanted to be. He could fly around, and he absolutely, if Jacob was here, would fill in the blank and would just show up as a meat missile, right? He actually brought the thunder. Like, it was the Ray Lewis of, my generation, I guess, as he came up. But the dude played football well, fast, and I always wanted to have him on the team, right? I always had to trade for him in Madden. I always had to get him on the Packers roster somehow, right?
Yeah. Number 6, Julius Peppers. Obviously spent a little bit of time with the Packers, right? It's pretty cool to see players. It seems like every year, every other year, it's someone who spent time in Green Bay that's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. And for all those people that said that Ted Thompson never signed free agents. Obviously, Julius Peppers was one that was just like that. And that's another one that Aaron Rodgers was pissed off at when they let him kind of walk. He wanted Julius Peppers to hang around another year or two. And obviously, front office disagreed. But Julius Peppers going into the Hall of Fame is awesome. Number 7, man, Andre Johnson. All I can think of is him beating the crap out of that Tennessee Titans cornerback when they got into a fight. You remember that?
Yeah. Antonio Cromartie, wasn't it?
No, what Cromartie. If you say his name, I'll remember it. But he's a shorter dude.
I literally just saw the video because I was watching it on NFL Films, like some of the plays. Peppers was in it, and so was Andre Johnson. And one of them was just a brawl between the two. It'll pop up in the chat in 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Somebody named that one for me for sure.
I want to say it starts with a C, but Crabtree.
Yeah. All I know is he was a very mouthy corner. He was pretty good there for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But he ran that mouth on big Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson pulled his helmet off and started throwing haymakers. So
thank you, R. Smith.
R. Smith guy. Yeah, Cortland Finnegan. There you go. Yep. That's it. Yeah. So, just Andre Johnson, one of those quiet guys on the field, too. He wasn't like a diva wide receiver, big-bodied wide receiver, but obviously Finnegan felt the wrath that year. Mm-hmm. So, again, just wanted to bring this up because, again, we're coming up on the Hall of Fame speeches, and that's going to be on August the 3rd, the speeches are. Saturday. So, as you see, that's going to be on the same Saturday night as family night. So, Thursday night, August the 1st, right around the corner, right? It's literally a week from this Thursday. You're going to have the very first preseason game. Then that Saturday night, we'll be flipping back and forth between family night and the Hall of Fame speeches. Mm-hmm. And then it's bang. It's game week, man. You got the Browns that next Saturday, preseason game, 3:25 kickoff in Cleveland. So that's going to be awesome, man. I'm liking, too. The one thing I'm noticing, I don't know if this is weird or not, Emilio, but like you're seeing a couple of preseason games that are day games here. And it seems like they're usually played at night. Do you think so too? It seems like the preseason games are typically played at night.
That's what I feel like. Just because they hadn't really gotten into the routine, but I think starting them off, I think it's nice. We got one in the afternoon, one at night, one right there in the morning. Then we got to hop on a plane. So I don't think it's bad. Then when we come back, we got a bunch of morning games in a line. We've talked about that, so I'm excited that they can get into a little bit of a routine. So, and also that the practice beforehand too with Baltimore, that's going to be nice to see. I mean, that is basically a month away from the first practice. So we're going to see what they're like coming out of the gate July 22nd. And by the time they practice against another team, well, we'll see where they're at, besides their 2 games. But I like the 2-a-days, basically the full weeks ahead of time, and then 2 practices, and let's get after it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. So the dope sheet dropped today, and this may be a little hard to read. You may have to kill your cam and get in there close if you need to. But for those of you who don't know what the dope sheet is, it's been a tradition for the Packers for a very long time. It's kind of the training camp preview, the season preview, if you will. And one of the things they do is the current how the roster was currently built. Right. And it talks about where each player on the roster kind of came from. Were they drafted? Were they free agent signings? What year were they signings? Trades, waivers, practice squad, the whole 9 yards. And I think it's kind of cool to just see how the roster was constructed. Now, I want to give a shout out to Emilio and give him his props because he put something together for us earlier in the offseason where he was kind of listing out these players and how they hit the roster. Obviously, with the dope sheet here, it's a little bit harder.
That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot cleaner than mine was. I ripped it off the Packers website and threw it in Excel and started moving stuff around. That is much cleaner. I like the parentheses to organize it. I was over here just kind of all willy-nilly with it. But no, it's awesome to see how much of this team we've talked about it, how lucky we are that one, they've drafted most of them, and 2, that they're really, really young.
So let's just rattle through it real quick. This is the training camp roster, and we'll start with the oldest, the old whippersnappers. All right, we'll start with them first. So from the year 2016, there's only one player left on the roster. Okay, that was added in 2016, and that's Kenny Clark. Now you guys know he's up for a contract this year. This is going into his contract year, I should say. And we've got the 2025 projected free agents ready to go for the Packers from the Packers standpoint. So we'll hit on that here in a second. But Kenny Clark was drafted in 2016, so he's been on the roster longer than anyone. In 2018, so there's no one on the roster that was added during the 2017 season. Okay, he jumped to 2018. there's only one player, and that's Jair Alexander. That's hard to believe that he's the second longest tenured player on the Packers
And
roster.
now looking back at it and thinking about it, I think that's probably what they told him, right? Like, dude, if I understand you want to be captain, I appreciate that. We need you to put in the work, but the fact that you and Kenny are the two most tenured people on this team, one at the defensive line, one at the shell of the secondary, you gotta have your head on your shoulders. You got to be able to carry that weight. Being that anchor. The fact that he's been here for that long, he knows how it's done. He knows how they work. So I think that was probably one of the added conversation in that with him.
Yeah, definitely. So when we jump to 2019, there's 3 players left on the roster, and that's Rashawn Gary, who was drafted in the first round. Elton Jenkins, obviously they got him listed as a guard tackle. He's an interior offensive lineman, essentially. He was drafted in the second round. He was a center coming out of college, if I remember correctly. And then you had one free agent signing, and that was obviously Preston Smith, edge defender Preston Smith. He was signed as a free agent in the 2019 offseason as well. That was Brian Gutekunst's very first free agency. He went out and signed Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith, said, look, we're just going to go ahead and lock down that tier 1 position of importance at the edge defensive room. I think they were planning on getting one. They made offers to both and ended up getting them both. They're like, you know what? Screw it. This will work. Let's do it. Yeah. And then you went out and drafted Rashawn Gary too. It's pretty wild. You just see where the value lied in building the roster from the ground up when Goody took over. It's in the trenches, isn't it?
That's it. I mean, you see it. They brought in that skill. Our D-line got better. Obviously, it's not perfect, but they realized, hey, we need to keep replenishing this. It needs to be almost a yearly thing. We're adding somebody in there to bring in new talent or something.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys would just take a quick second, hit that like button for us. We got a bunch of people watching. That'll help boost the algorithm. Feel free to share it, all that good stuff. And if you like this kind of content, just sub to the channel. We're going to be bringing you all the training camp news in real time. We go live daily pretty much. So appreciate y'all making us.
Jacob's boy in here. Knucklehead Paul's in here. Appreciate you, bud.
That's what
Jacob's slacking tonight. That's exactly what he's doing.
Absolutely. All right, so 2020, you add Jordan Love in the first round and A.J. Dillon in the second round. Both of those players are still on the roster, although I think we would all agree A.J. Dillon's definitely playing for his spot to return next year. Man, unless he's willing to take another very team-friendly deal, I kind of feel like this is probably his last year as a Packer. I hope it's not the case, because that dude, man, he really represents the Green Bay Packers so well. But 2 players from 2020, man, both of them draft picks, Emilio, Jordan Love and A.J. Dillon.
Two of the lucky pickups, I think, by the Packers, right? We got our franchise quarterback and a guy that anybody would want to be friends with, anyone would be lucky to hang out with. I think A.J. Dillon's I think he's a dog on the field. I just don't think he's really put it all together in a year. But also, I think they need that. I know he is that power back, but I think they need him to keep carries off everybody else. I know we did it with Aaron Jones, but Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, it's a rotating piece, but you also need a big guy that's going to run downhill and not be, worried about getting thumped around a couple times. Played with a broken thumb, right?
So 2021, you have 6 players that are still on the roster that were added in 2021. We'll start with the practice squad edition. Tyler Davis, man, he's hanging on. That dude, and I know he blew the knee up last year, and hopefully he's healthy this year. They see him as a very very valuable piece for the special teams. I think he was one of if not the highest graded special teams players the year before he got hurt. So Tyler Davis still on the roster there as a practice squad pickup. He was a free agent in 21. Looked like they signed him from the practice squad with the Indianapolis Colts, if I'm reading that correctly. Now, the rest of the players, the other 5 players, were all draft picks. First round pick, Eric Stokes. Second round pick, Josh Myers. 4th round pick, Royce Newman. And 5th round pick, TJ Slayton. And then 6th round pick, second of 2 6th-round picks, I believe, in Isaiah McDuffie. And when you look at all those players, the thing that sticks out to me, Emilio, they may not be back next year, bro. I mean, Eric Stokes, you declined the 5th-year option. Josh Myers, I think we would all agree, has been kind of underwhelming for a second-round pick. Royce Newman, not that good, as we always say, hello, Newman, or as most people in the chat want to say, goodbye, Newman, but maybe he'll put it together. TJ Slayton, big-body nose tackle, but I think we would all agree I'll say this. I don't want to slander TJ Slayton. He's a 5th-round pick. I think he was a good pick.
Yeah.
5th round. I really do. And then, of course, you got Isaiah McDuffie, which you guys know how we feel. I think he's a very underrated linebacker. So what do you think about these 2021 additions?
You're right on, man. The fact that all of them could be gone. I mean, and including Tyler Davis, just because of the knee, not anything else. Like they said, Tyler Davis, 250 special team snaps. That's going to be hard to replace. We got to be ready for that. But if any of these guys don't ball out this year, I do think are definitely on the hot seat to saying bye. Nothing against them, but it's not working out. Look at the charts. Look at how many people are on this team below 2021, right? You've got probably like 12 people maybe before that, and then everybody else is 2022 and newer.
You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons. That's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
Yep. And Greg Ross says Stokes is playing for his NFL life. There's no doubt about that. Here's an interesting comment. Chris N says Newman is $3 million on the cap, no guarantee, so you could free up $3 million to roll in and help for the future. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, Chris. If that is accurate, I definitely trust your info there for sure.
Then you got Monk coming up, and Jordan Morgan. If you're not, Sean Ryan, if no one's producing, man. It's time to go. Go get paid like John Runyon did, right? Go make $30 million. If you've been on this line, you got a shot to go play somewhere else. But
yeah, definitely. It's funny, man. Eric Sutherland says Newman should be arrested for stealing money from the Packers. I like what Omer says. I love both players, but it's time. Yeah, amen, man. Ben Holden says I heard Stokes is playing very well. I haven't heard that he's playing very well, and I'm sure you heard that. The thing that sticks out to me, though, is the fact that they declined the 5th-year option. It doesn't mean they don't see him as a future piece of the Green Bay Packers, right? It just simply means they're not going to pay him that first-round tender top money. He may come back at $5 million per, something like that, right? He's going to test the market, and typically a player that has the physical tools that he has, if he has a big year this year, he could get as much money as anyone on the open market. That's just a fact. Now, he's got to have a big year. Mm-hmm. Would I be willing to pay him that without seeing that big year? Absolutely not. But hopefully he does come out and ball out, though, man. We need a deep corner room for sure. Hey, fam in the chat, you guys you're unhinged. Absolutely unhinged. Let's see here. Omer says Newman is done, and we gained 3.1 once that slug is – oh, God. Y'all are so mean, man.
Oh.
Here. All right. Let's move on to 2022. So, obviously, there were 6 additions in 2021. In 2022, you've got what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 players that were added that are still on the roster, okay? Let's start with the practice squad additions. You've got Bo Melton
and
Eric Wilson.
Dog.
Solid players.
Need them both.
Need them. That's the best way to put it. Need them both. From trades / waivers, you got Luke Tenuta from Indianapolis, right? Picked him up off waivers in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
He's a huge dude. They obviously seen a lot in him. I want to say he had ties to Buffalo too, but I could be wrong. Maybe he was drafted by Buffalo. I could be completely wrong there. But yeah, so he's on the roster. You got Caleb Jones, who is a college free agent or an undrafted free agent in 2022. Caleb, just a mountain of a man. Obviously, he hasn't been able to kind of win that starting position. He's had a couple of opportunities to compete for it with Bakhtiari being hurt, and it just hasn't panned out, although he's still on the roster here going into camp.
Yep.
Free agent signings, Corey Ballantyne and Keyshawn Nixon. I think those are two big players. I think they're role players. I should say that.
Yeah.
Keyshawn Nixon, if he didn't have the return ability, there's no way I would have agreed with how much money they paid him. But you throw in that return ability along with the fact that he did play all those snaps at slot corner. Granted, I think we would all agree didn't play great. I thought he played above average, I think would be a fair kind of assessment of Keyshawn.
Anytime you can get – right. Anytime you can get –
I think Corey Ballantyne is one of the most underrated players on this team, though. I really do. I think he was the second best corner on the team last year, personally. Go ahead, Millie. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was just saying two-way production out of one player is you take that anytime, especially in special teams where it's it is one of the three areas of the game that you got to produce in. So we do need that. But like you said, Ballantyne balled out for being a signed agent, right? Showed up, and if you want to play football, you just show up and play. You'll get a spot on the field. Definitely.
All right, so moving on to the draft picks that were added in 2022. You got Quay Walker, first-round pick, Devontae Wyatt, first-round pick, wide receiver Christian Watson, second-round pick, guard Sean Ryan in the third round. That seems to be a swing and a miss. Wide receiver Romeo Dobbs in the fourth round. That's a huge hit. Offensive lineman Zach Tom in the fourth round. Huge hit. Defensive lineman Kingsley Enagbare in the fifth. Big hit. Defensive lineman Jonathan Ford in the seventh. It's a seventh-round pick. It's hard to say, hey, that was a miss, right? It is what it is. Tackle Rasheed Walker, drafted in the seventh round. I think that's a hit. I mean, anything above a 60 PFF from last year, and he didn't have catastrophic numbers as far as, giving up sacks and stuff like that. He actually had pretty good numbers in that regard in sacks allowed. Now, how much of that had to do with Jordan creating, the movement in the pocket and all that stuff, manipulating the pocket to keep the play alive? It could have been. But Rasheed Walker, hell of a pick there in the seventh round. Then you got Samori Toure in the seventh round. I think we would all agree is kind of been a miss, but again, it's just a seventh rounder. So what do you think about the draft picks, Emilio?
Yeah, you're right on with it's just a seventh rounder until they're a hit, right? So we could say Rasheed Walker, it's just a seventh rounder, but dude's a dog. So I think that's key to just being a Packers fan, is that the fact that they're able to hit on some of those late round guys, Romeo, Zach Tom. I mean, basically the second half and the first part of the draft, I like. Sean Ryan's been a hit or miss. I feel like it flip flops right after Sean Ryan. Really like the front half, really like the back half, and then supplement. But look at all those draft picks.
Yeah, Deadfish says Walker in the seventh round was a big hit. Such an important position, man. And all the signs were there.
Right, you only get 7 a year, and look at that left. Look at that left column there, and just see what we've been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Lynn says Jonathan Ford's still on the roster. That says something. It does. At times, Coach, I find myself going, if he wasn't as big as he is, would he be on the roster? Because he's just a mammoth human being, right? He's got that a lot of weight, a lot of physicality to him. But you're right, man. They see something in him to keep him on the roster for sure.
And like you said earlier, 2021, TJ Slayton could be, leaving for a younger, Jonathan Ford there.
Yeah. Prince in the chat says, tough scene for Ford, also drafted to be a nose tackle. Might be room for just one of those tops in Slayton. Practice squad possibility again. And that's the thing. You're going from that 34 jam front from a base look when you're facing 21 and 12 personnel. And now you're going to a 4-3 where you still can use a nose tackle in that 4-3 defense, especially if you're going to present a 5-man front from time to time, whether it's an under or an over, and using kind of a hybrid like like a Quay Walker on the line of scrimmage type thing.
Yeah.
But same time, and it's playing those in a 4-3 totally different than a 34. It kind of feels like Ford is his back is against the wall there. But again, throw him on the practice squad. That's TJ Slayton's backup. If you face a run heavy team and you need to go out there and show a 5-man front, whether you want to try to show some kind of Okie or something too, some big Okie or whatever. But
it's crazy that it's that for two people right at the same position. TJ and Jonathan are both fighting for a spot to stay on the roster because it's not really a scheme fit anymore.
Right. Deadfish has a great comment here. He says, book in tackles in one draft and both day 3 picks. Think about that. Zach Tom in the 4th, Rasheed Walker in the 7th. Bro, that's just wild. That is wild. And the fact that you were able to land those 2 tackles, those are Goody's most recent like swings at tackle and they hit, right? And then you say, okay, we were willing to wait till the 4th round on Tom and the 7th round on Walker, and they proved to be starting caliber players. In Tom's case, a really good starting caliber player. And then you see so much more value in a Jordan Morgan. It kind of makes you think, like the last time they took an offensive lineman in the 1st round, if I remember correctly, it was Derek Sherrod, who absolutely mangled his leg, and there's nothing you can do about that. Injuries happen. But Brian Bulaga before that. Brian Bulaga was a hell of a tackle. So when this scouting department, when they take a swing in the 1st round on tackle, they typically know what they're doing, right? So if you get a Zach Tom caliber player in Jordan Morgan and you got Rasheed Walker there to create competition and them to battle through injuries, man, Jordan Love's got to be grinning like a possum in a dumpster, dude. No doubt about it. So, all right. So that was the 2022 roster. Anything else you want to add to those players there, Emilio?
No, I think that was a good year, definitely.
Yeah, it's so cool to see how the roster is constructed because we get so caught up in during the season, in the off season, it's draft talk, it's free agency, and you don't really slow down and go, how the hell did these guys even show up, right? Mm-hmm. So here's the big bulk. I guess the majority, it looks like, the majority of the roster came from the 2023 editions. All right, and that was. Let's start with the practice squad edition. That was Robert Rochelle. Obviously, he came over from Carolina. They signed him, and then we end up stashing him on the practice squad from time to time. The trade/waiver wire, safety Zane Anderson, defensive lineman Aaron Mosby, and tight end Ben Sims. Ben Sims, a hell of a signing. I remember when we signed him, Jacob got kind of excited. He's like, have you looked at his measurables, man? He's a pretty athletic dude. And I'm telling you, he played pretty solid last year, man. I think he is as good a tight end 3 on a roster as you're going to find in the NFL. So I'm kind of excited about him to see if he can take another step this year behind Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, because injuries are going to happen at the tight end position. There's no doubt about it, man. College free agents in 2023. Defensive lineman Keyshawn Banks, defensive lineman Brenton Cox Jr., a.k.a. Jacob's guy, right?
Mm-hmm. I would say.
Wide receiver Malik Heath. That's a pretty good signing
Take
there.
him to the water cooler.
That's right. Fullback Henry Pearson. They obviously see something in Pearson that if they do want to try to lean into a little 21 sets this year, they're trying to make Henry Pearson.
He's got a shot. I mean, if he could be a fullback and a tight end, and a makeshift tight end that they can bring down to H-back, wing-back, put his hand in the dirt, on a goal line, whatever. I think he does have a shot if he can block.
Sometimes too, people they forget the practice squad aspect. If you keep Henry Pearson and you stash him on the practice squad, what it allows you to do is you've got a legit fullback on the roster, on the practice squad roster, to prepare yourself for when you play people like San Francisco. Because that practice squad, the scout team, they're going to be running with that fullback, and you've got him. And then the added bonus is, like you said, you get a little banged up at tight end, you can lean into 21, but also you may see something on tape from the last 4-game saturation. What I mean by that is every team, when they go into scout, not every team, but it's kind of common knowledge, according to Pat Kerwin, Tim Ryan, people like that have been in and around the league as executives and players, that going into a week of preparation to get your upcoming opponent, you'll go back and watch the tape from the previous 4 games of those teams. Okay. And then you'll typically watch the last 2 head-to-head matchups too. So you'll get a 6-game saturation, 2 of which are head-to-head against your scheme. Right. So when you go in and you do that, as you're scouting those teams, you look up and go, man, San Francisco cut them apart with 21 personnel. It's nice to know you got Henry Pearson to go, you know what, let's activate him this week. And let's lean into 21 a little bit. So that's kind of how that works. Safety, Benny Sapp, The third is came on the roster in 2023 as well as a undrafted free agent. Tackle Kadeem Telford, and then running back Emmanuel Wilson, all those solid. I'll pause there, Emilio. Anything you want to add to that group of players as far as college free agents, trade waivers, and practice squad?
All I'll say is all those guys play football tough, right? They all realize that they have only a couple of shots here, to make it worth it. You've seen it from Brenton Cox, you've seen it from Malik Heath, Henry Pearson. We haven't seen a bunch of, but you've seen him out there working. And Emmanuel Wilson wants the ball. When the game's on the line, who wants the ball? So I like that.
Yeah, I like Emmanuel Wilson. I think he's underrated. Now the issue becomes, do you try to work him into jalapeno potato chips, man?
Nice. Oh,
they're so good.
Kettle cooked? Yeah.
Kettle cooked. Man, that got hung in the left lung. We're good.
Went down the wrong pipe. Yeah.
So people on the pod are going, we don't care, Clayton. I'm just trying to get through this work day. Say something, Emilio.
Yeah. Clayton's over there just hacking up a long dart, and we're over here worried about our college free agents. And I need these guys to perform. I just do.
That's good stalling. Good job. All right. So the other one with Emmanuel Wilson, do you want to try to continue to develop him or keep A.J. Dillon on the roster, right? That's the big thing. Now, if you can stash Emmanuel Wilson on the practice squad, I think that could be huge. I think it could be huge. And then the running backs are going to get banged up. It happens every year, just like we talked about with linebackers and really, offensive linemen all the way across the board. You got to think depth and who can you get away with by stashing on the practice squad and get those 3 elevations that you're granted every year by the league. Emmanuel Wilson fits that bill.
Do you use up those 3 and have to kick them to the curb, or do you think that we try to save that third one, and then because you got to keep them on the roster afterwards, right?
I personally think that they're planning on going with the top 3 backs being I about said Aaron Jones. God love him. Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, and A.J. Dillon, right? And I think that you'll have Emmanuel Wilson for when someone gets banged up to elevate them. So I don't know if it's going to be something like, hey, let's go ahead and burn those early or let's burn them late. I think it'll just be on a need, as needed basis type thing.
Did you see this from Prince here? Said, I don't think Wilson is anything special. I would actually take Tyler Goodson back over him if available. Didn't he get a lot of? Was it Indianapolis? Didn't he get a lot of playing time over there? He was like they brought him up and he was playing.
Yeah, he definitely was. Tyler Goodson was fun to watch. It's just, I don't know, man. You never really. I can't sit here and say that Emmanuel Wilson's better than Tyler Goodson and vice versa. I think with Emmanuel Wilson, I did hear, what's his name? Gary Ellerson, former Green Bay Packers running back. Obviously, he knows more about the running back position than any of us. He talked about that preseason run. When I say preseason run, not one individually, just the way Emmanuel Wilson performed in preseason and camp. And he was like, man, this kid's got some game. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what perked my ears up. And I started paying attention. I'm like, man, every time he's on the field, he does kind of, like I said, doesn't Wilson have some really good tape is what Greg Rice said. Absolutely, man. Go back and watch the preseason last year, man. He broke off a couple of dandies where it's like Gary Ellerson said, I can't remember what show he was on, but he was like, that's not normal for a player to be able to bounce outside like that. So anyway, I didn't plan on spending that much time on the college free agents, but that's a fun little group there, man, for sure. When you move on to free agents that were signed, you got cornerback Zion Gilbert, wide receiver Alex Magoo. You got running back Ellis Merriweather. I didn't even know he was still on the roster. Defensive line Kenneth Odumegwu, right? You got him. You got long snapper Matt Orzik. You've got linebacker Christian Welch. Isn't he a Green Bay native? Am I thinking right? Christian Welch. I think he's from right around Green Bay.
I want to say.
Punter Daniel Whelan, man, hell of a find. The holding, punting, everything. Like to me, he's a solid punter. I would like to see them extend him because you could keep that cap number down because it's not like he's going to hit the market and get a ton of money. I would like to see them give him like a 4-year deal, 1.5 per, and maybe guarantee 3 of it or something like that, right? And just go ahead and lock that down because I will never underestimate the holding job, in the kicking game ever again, Emilio, because I'm telling you, man, 2021 was just – I still have PTSD from that, bro.
The one I really remember is when I was a kid when Tony Romo was still holding. Remember, and it was just my dad was just spiraling, right? That always stuck with me. Like, dude, it's one of the three people that are gonna handle the ball on that play, and it needs to happen, right? You get 33% wrong, you are teetering on failing.
Yeah.
So
definitely. So there are your free agents that were signed in 2023. Pretty good list there. Was there 3, 6, 9 of them? So,
but honestly, like being honest, like that group is nothing compared to the group to the right, or you know what I mean? Like I feel like our college free agents are a lot more dogs than the free agents right there. I mean, if it was just Daniel Whelan in there, I'd be like, all right, let's roll. And Kenneth, obviously, because he's part of the Pathway program. But besides that, it's like I appreciate Alex Magoo coming over, and if it doesn't work out, it's got to be like that. But yeah, I do like the college free agents a little better.
It's going to drive me crazy not knowing Christian Welch's hometown. Give me just 1 second. I gotta figure this out because I think he did play at Iowa, if I remember correctly. But Iola, that's it, right? Iola, Wisconsin's where he's from. So there you go. I think he grew up a Packer fan. I think Jason Wilde did an article on that. It was a really cool read for sure. If you guys want to go Google and dig that up, it was a great job writing by him. So the draft class for 2023, defensive lineman Lucas Van Ness, expecting big things out of him this year. Tight end Luke Musgrave, we talked about him pretty extensively last night, how he was right there on the border of breaking records as a rookie tight end. Wide receiver Jaden Reed, tight end Tucker Kraft, defensive line Colby Wooden, quarterback Sean Clifford, wide receiver Dontavian Wicks, defensive lineman Carl Brooks, kicker Anders Carlson, cornerback Carrington Valentine, safety Anthony Johnson Jr., and wide receiver Grant DuBose. I don't know what the average hit rate is on draft classes, but I mean, when you count that off, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. I won't call Wooden a hit yet. Sean Clifford, I wouldn't call a hit. You got 5, 6, 7, at least 7 hits in the 2023 draft. At least that's the way it appeared to me.
I like the inflection you put on each of their names too. It's like, Anders Carlson, Carrington Valentine, Anthony Johnson Jr. But as you were reading them off, like, dude, those are the names I saw running around on the field last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not like they're not playing and, we're being held up by everybody previously, man. That's half the team right there. So yeah, I can't wait for LVN, right? That dude is a freak. I hope they tear it up with the defense and
him running down Justin Fields and seeing Justin Fields kind of like think, okay, I've got him beat, and look downfield and LVN catch him from behind and just ragdoll him on the sideline. Yeah. Justin Fields' body language when he got off the ground was like, who the hell was that? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm telling you, I think he's going to be a dog. And I think him in this 4-3 is going to be a lot different than like we talked about with the 34 jam and having to set the edge a little more gap sound along the edge when setting it. Mm-hmm. I think LVN is going to be.
Yeah, I want him to perform well enough that we have to pick up his 5th year. You know what I mean? Like, I want him to be that skilled. He's got Rashawn above him. We got Kingsley up there and Preston, right? So he doesn't have a high ladder to climb, but he's got a lot of talent in front of him to help him learn as well.
I like this right here. Ron Sanville says, Kenny Clark says he's been working out with Colby Wooden, says he's going to surprise this year for what that's worth, man, if that's the case. Because Colby Wooden,
he came in a little thin, right? Didn't he come in a little thin?
To me, him and Devontae Wyatt looked thinner to me, if I remember correctly. I don't think I'm getting those mixed up. But Colby Wooden, I was expecting, obviously he was drafted before Carl Brooks. You expecting more out of him than Carl Brooks because they obviously had a higher draft grade on Colby Wooden than Carl Brooks. Albeit if they're in the same tier, they chose Colby Wooden over Carl Brooks, right, 1 round earlier. But Carl Brooks is just such a stud. I think it kind of made Colby look bad. You know what I mean? Sure. So he may end up being a stud, right? It's just Carl Brooks. I personally think Carl Brooks is going to be he's going to be the guy that replaces Kenny Clark alongside Devontae Wyatt in what the majority of the time is going to be a 4-man front. Mm-hmm. I really think Carl Brooks, what he showed on tape, hearing his name called in camp all year last year, If it happens again this year and he takes another step forward, whoo. So we had that wrong. Coach Lynn said Wooden gained 15 pounds. So he beefed up. And I'm thinking Devontae Wyatt might have trimmed down a
I was going to say, when he came into the league, Wooden was super thin. It seemed like he was like real thin running tackle in there.
Got it. But Christian said the same thing, beefed up 10 to 15 pounds this year.
I like that. But like we've talked about that before, dude came in from the draft. You got the rookie season. You're not like working out to work out. You're working out to pass the draft. You know what I mean? You got to have a good draft grade to get drafted. So I like that he was able to hit the gym, do all that stuff now that he's got a little bit more time to process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Coach Lynn seems to agree. He says Wyatt slimmed down for sure. Man, there was one picture I seen him. I was like, that dude, he ain't got a second chin anymore. That guy chiseled down a little bit.
And our defense is going to revolve around what that front four can do. Like if this 4-3 is going to be successful, it's going to be because 4 D linemen can stop 60% of the plays instead of needing all the extra help and all that.
And I will not be surprised if you see Devontae Wyatt on the edge from time to time in the sport.
I like that.
Yeah. Like what if Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, and then Kenny obviously doing what Kenny does. He's just a solid football player. What if Devontae Wyatt and Carl Brooks come out and they just have a hell of a camp and they're like, man, they're too good to not put on the field? What if you throw them into the rotation, one of them, if not both, into the rotation of defensive end in your nickel sets? Well, you've got even fresher legs now.
Yeah.
So
we got to keep that going too. Hockey lines for sure. I think that they just need to keep them rotating. If we've got this much skill and you can't don't leave them on there for 4 extra plays just because you want Wyatt out there when you could throw Wooden in there if the dude balls out.
Yeah. Omer says Brooks is special. Completely agree. Eric Sutherland says, Ron, I agree. Brooks is going to blow up this season. There you go. Coach Lynn says Wooden can play edge also. And man, when you start
that at Bowling Green.
Yeah. When you that was Brooks, right? Brooks was at Bowling
Green.
Green.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Right.
But when you start mixing and matching, the thing that many fans don't take into consideration are the moves and counter moves that pass rushers use on offensive linemen. So offensive lineman gets settled in, and he's all right. I've gotten used to his bull. I can anchor on his bull rush. Okay, I'm going to look for his swim now. I'm going to look for his punch pull and whatever. And it's like, okay, I've got that. Well, who the hell is this? I haven't taken a single rep against this guy, and now I got to learn his tendency, and he's going to set me up with a move. When you do that, man, it really puts you in a good spot.
Then you do overload three on one side, one on the other, and it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, Bane Gary on the opposite side by himself on an island, just breathing fire. I'm excited, man. I'm excited about it. Smitty says the big takeaway I have of this review is I do not envy Matt LaFleur and Goody having to cut down 53 to the current roster. We say it every year, Smitty. I'm going to say it again. This year is the toughest. It seems like it gets tougher every year, and that's a good sign, right? That means this roster is stacked from top to bottom for sure.
And then you can root them on because they're so good, they go other places and tear it up.
Definitely. All right, let's move on to the final. You're at the 45-minute mark, man. This flew by. Holy cow. If you guys would hit that like button for us here on YouTube, Rumble, and on X, feel free to share it too. We appreciate y'all making us a part of your evening. So the players that were added in 2024, let's start with there were no practice squad additions, at least right now. Of course, once we get through practice squad, someone may get stashed on the practice squad. I should say that by the end of the year. So trades/waivers, kicker James Turner. You got defensive lineman Spencer Wage. Is that how you say his name?
Spencer Wage.
Spencer Wage. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
And then you've got college free agents or undrafted free agents. You've got long snapper Peter Bowden. You got defensive lineman James Esther, linebacker Raylan Goforth. You've got a wide receiver Julian Hicks, a running back Jarvion Howard. That's another guy we didn't talk about much, man. He had some pretty interesting college tape too.
Crazy.
Guard/tackle Donovan Jennings. That's your boy, ain't it? Am I thinking right? Is that your guy?
No.
No, it's the other one, isn't it?
Yeah, we're waiting for him.
You're talking about.
I'll bring it up. Don't worry. I'll bring it up.
I got you. Wide receiver Dimitri Stanley, and then you got tight end Messiah Swinson. Those are your UDFAs. Oh yeah, he's a monster.
Dude, he is
with a name like Messiah. Come on, man. You kidding me?
Yeah, we go from Josiah to Messiah.
That's it.
Let's go.
Cool. All right, free agent signings. You've got defensive lineman Deslin Alexander. You've got safety Tyler Coyle, tackle Andre Dillard. We talked about him, former first-round pick. I think he was 19 overall pick when he was drafted. Cornerback Garmin Green, I think that's what that says. Running back Josh Jacobs, obviously one of if not the biggest free agent signings this year. You got kicker Greg Joseph. You got safety Xavier McKinney. That was, to me, that is the cream of the crop right there, Emilio. That's my favorite free agent signing of the year. Obviously, I've been screaming we need a safety for the longest time. We'll see what Macho Man has to say about that.
Cream rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
Completely agree, sir. So you also got guard/center Lasitas Smith was added. So when you look at that free agent signing class there, Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs, even Andre Dillard, who knows, man? This might be the place that he puts it together. I'm not banking on it by no stretch of the imagination. I don't think they signed him. I don't think they would have signed him had Zach Tom not blown out his pec. But nonetheless, man, Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs, dude, that's going to be – I think it's going to be –
I feel like it's going to be one of those in 2 or 3 years we're looking up and it's okay. The free agents from 2024, we still have at least 2, and it's going to be X and possibly Josh Jacobs, or Andre Dillard if he tears it up, right? Everybody else, I think you got to keep playing because all the previous year's talent was on the field. So, you got to show up now that you're the new guys.
Yep. All right, so the 2024 draft class, first rounder, offensive lineman Jordan Morgan, second rounder, linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, second rounder Javon Bullard, safety, third rounder, running back Marshawn Lloyd, third rounder, linebacker Tyron Hopper, fourth rounder, safety Evan Williams, fifth rounder Jacob Monk, interior offensive lineman. I'm going to cut myself off here and say Jacob Monk, that just kind of feels like that might be the Zach Tom pick this year. Like I'm telling you, man, when Zach Tom was drafted, there were a few people talking about Tom, like this guy's really intriguing. When Jacob Monk was drafted, people lost their minds. They were going, this guy can play ball. He can play ball. And I'm going, why did he fall so far? I said the same thing about Zach Tom.
Yeah.
And boy, Zach Tom balled out. So hopefully they hit on him. Safety, Katan Oladapo, 5th round. Tackle, Travis Glover in the 6th. Quarterback, Michael Pratt in the 7th. You guys know if you watch our Chalk Talk segment that put us basically in a downward spiral here on YouTube. Michael Pratt, really, really exciting prospect. I personally think he can beat Sean Clifford out for the backup spot. That's just me. Cornerback, Kalen King, another one. Man, there's all kinds of exciting names on this draft class here, but I know you were talking about your boy Travis Glover. You have the floor, Emilio.
Dude, he's a dog. I mean, offensive grade 72.5, pass blocking grade 81.6, run blocking grade of a 67.3, 6'6", 323. I'll take it, right? I know we've had it before with Caleb Jones and everything. The dude says he's fast. I mean, if you're that big and you say you're that fast, I'm going to believe you, right? I don't need you to prove it. Devontae Wyatt said he was fast, and we saw how fast he was. So, big man can move. I like that. We could, a couple quick pitches, stuff like that. But really, I think that we got a shot here with who we brought in. Jordan Morgan, can't wait for him, right? He's who we want to excel. But I'm like Jacob right now, hoping that 7th rounder is going to be the new Rasheed Walker or the rotational.
You said you're like Jacob. I thought you were going to say, I hope we get a tie this year.
Yeah, exactly. Oof. But no, man, we got 2 linebackers that I'm really excited about. I really am excited about Hopper and obviously Edgerrin. But you always want those underdogs to perform because you expect it from the from the first and second rounders. You expect them to be great. You want the other ones to be great.
Yeah. Ron Samble says, I like how Tom compares Morgan to himself. The thing about Tom, he's a technician. He's not going to wow you with his strength and athletic ability, but he just does all the fundamentals really, really well. And that's what you hear about Jordan Morgan. You heard Bill Belichick, the GOAT, talk about it on Draft Night on the Pat McAfee draft coverage. I think that Jordan Morgan, man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about him and Monk this year. I really am. Let's see here. Coach Lynn says 3 quarterbacks this year on the roster. Man, when was the last time, Emilio, that we broke camp with 3 quarterbacks? That was a long time ago, wasn't it? Yeah. And I see his point. Like, this might be the year it happens because they really like Sean Clifford. Obviously, I'll just love watching him on the sideline calling the opponent B words when they get knocked out of bounds.
You got the towel waving at him and stuff. Yeah.
Love it. But Michael Pratt, man, I'm telling you, that preseason football for Green Bay this year is going to be so much fun watching those two quarterbacks battle for that backup spot. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see the best of both of them. I think it's going to be awesome, man. Let's see here. Coach Lynn. Yeah.
Thank you, Coach.
Go ahead, read it, Emilio.
Glover held his own on the Senior Bowl. Lots of upside. Let me just add to that. Position by snap. Inline, 7 last year. O-line, 793. Punt coverage unit, 65 snaps.
Yeah.
The man's getting down the field. He can run.
Absolutely. Here we go. So Fred McFarley says the last he recalls was Rodgers, Flynn, and Brom. So that was the year taking the second round. That would have been the year that Rodgers took over as the starting quarterback. So that would have been 2009. Am I thinking right? 2008?
I think so.
Am I thinking right? Yeah, I'm getting it mixed up. Yeah, he sat for 3. Yeah, so it would have been 2008 or 2009. So it's been that long, I'm thinking. That says a lot, man. And like Brian Brom, they drafted him in the second round. People forget that. Everybody acts like it made me want to throw up on my damn boots all off season hearing people go, they weren't talking high of love like they were Rodgers. That first camp, everyone knew Rodgers was special. And I'm going, BS. They took Brian Brom in the second round the year he took over because they were nervous as all get out. That, hey, we don't know what we actually got here. That cracks me up when they do that. Just that, I don't know, revisionist history, if you will.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, Rodgers, Flynn, Brom. And if that's the case, man, that was a long time ago for sure. But I'm with you, Coach. I think they could make a case for it this year, man. Because here's the thing. I don't think any teams will try to sign Clifford, me personally, off the practice squad. But I think there will be a handful of teams that would go after Michael Pratt. I really believe that. And people say, how can you say that? Because Clifford was a 5th-round pick, and obviously Pratt was a 7th-round pick. I think that the fact that the Packers jumped up and took him in the 7th round really kind of opened some eyes like, oh, crap. I love hearing the story from San Francisco and how the 49ers, I think it was the owner, was in the draft room, and it came up to like the 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round passes by. And I think it was the owner that asked Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. They said, this Brock Purdy kid, you've got a 3rd round grade on him. Why are we not taking him at the quarterback position? And they finally pulled the trigger with the very last pick of the draft. He's a top 5 quarterback last year.
Well, and Pratt was supposed to be like, what, a 2nd rounder or early 3rd or something like that. And Sean was –
if you go back a year and a half, they were saying he could be a 1st-round talent.
Right. Yep. And Sean was off the board, and we jumped up and pulled the trigger on him early. So,
yep. So we'll see, man. Again, preseason is going to be awesome, dude. It's going to be
– it's a hit or miss game, and I hope we hit on these past couple drafts because we need it. I mean, if we can make I know that we've talked about the window being open, closed, somewhat open, blinds are in front of it. We got a curtain hanging sideways. I think that if we can make a run while we're young, it's just going to be that much better. How long, how hard was it for us to keep it all together as Rodgers got older and older? And, if we have more than just one person around, a certain age group, we can push, keep that window open, prop it open with a 2x4 or something.
Absolutely, man. Speaking of 2x4s, boy, I got a stack of lumber outside right now.
I saw that.
Bro, that was some work getting
How's your shoulders feeling?
I was at the Home Depot loading up them 6x6s, bro. I was wishing I was mowing grass today.
One of those where you just threw it in reverse, backed up as fast as you could, and just slam on the brakes, hope all the wood slides off. Yeah.
Exactly. We're putting a deck up out back, so it's going to be a process.
Yeah.
But
no permits. No.
This is Tennessee, baby.
Are you putting it in the ground? No, we're just going to throw the post on the wood. It'll be all right.
Build a clubhouse. Get over it. Go bother someone else. Get off my property. That's how we handle that. So, anyway, I got to get the sign, man. Finished. I'm putting a sign at the end of the driveway that says, trying to think of how I had it worded. I had it already drawn up, everything. It was wave at the camera and smile for the scope is what I was going to put.
Nice.
Yeah, and that long driveway, people see that and they go, I ain't going down there. I'm just going. Yeah, I'm gonna hang out here. So, no trespassing, and we mean it, right? Mm-hmm. It's funny too because we got a no trespassing sign, and right next to it, Mandy's got a sign saying talking about Jesus' love.
Yeah.
Well, we're some hypocrites.
If you hear the dog, it's too late.
Right? Yeah, that type of thing. Yeah, definitely. Anything else you want to hit on before we go, man?
No, dude. It's fact that in February we were talking about oh boy.
I got to hit this. I don't mean to cut you off. M. Smitty says, Clayton, why didn't you hire Emilio out of the Home Depot parking lot to help out? There's a South Park episode. I'm not a big South Park fan. I showed you this, didn't I, Emilio?
Yeah.
Bro. So there's a South Park episode where everyone's come to the realization that spent and wasted all this time and money on getting these college degrees. Don't get me started on it, okay? Don't get me started on that aspect. But all these people are looking for work. Like many people, it's sad. It's sad that they were sold this promise. You go to school, you go in debt, you get your education, and you'll have a good job waiting on you. And then you get out of college and the job isn't waiting there. But boy, those people that pushed you in that direction, their job's secure. They're talking the next 17-year-old into it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not anti-college. If you want to go to college and you want to master a craft and get yourself set up for a career that you're passionate about, man, you give it hell. You enjoy it and you go be the best student you can be. But these kids that are like, I don't know what I want to do. Well, you just need to go to college. You need to go in debt and go to college, right? Anyway, that South Park episode, just Google South Park Home Depot, maybe degrees, something like that.
Yeah.
No, was it not hilarious?
Oh my God.
That's the first thing I thought of when he said that, because it's
that in the office Home Depot is like literally the two that are go-tos, right? But no, I'm surprised Clayton got it all in the truck. I bet that trailer was squatting, or I bet the truck was riding like this. You know what I mean?
But bro, when the Mexican drives through the parking lot and looks at all the people that haven't worked a day in their life out there trying to sell their degree on South Park, and he goes, "Hey, y'all get out of here! You're making the Home Depot look crappy." Dude, it's hilarious. I loved it. I loved it. So, anyway, all right. Anything else, man?
No, we were here in February talking about it's not going to ever come, and it's here now. So we just got to get through this weekend. Go ahead, have some diesel, some one Friday night. Maybe fit in a date night there, and by Monday it's game time.
Absolutely, man. We're back, baby. We are back, and I know you're over there rebuilding a dynasty, right?
Taking a while, man. It is. It's like pulling teeth trying to get someone to show up.
We're rolling in Lexington. I'll just say that. All right.
Yeah, I need to make another one for a stronger team, and then we'll work from there. But I like building them up.
Kentucky's not that bad, but the teams you got to play in the SEC, oh my God, it's Georgia. South Carolina smacked me in the mouth the other night, bro. So anyway, it's been a lot of fun. So that's why I was saying, I sent Emilio, for those of you who don't know, we're talking about the college football game that everybody's just going nuts. So the memes have been phenomenal, man.
the one Bears, or was it the Bears or the Bengals guy just floating around in a circle?
It's great, bro. The memes are great. But I sent Emilio pictures of that wood that I loaded up earlier, and I said, I got the number 3 middle linebacker in the country on a recruiting visit at Home Depot with me loading up this wood. So there you go. But anyway, we're out here. What's that?
Send the house on them.
Yeah, got to send the house, man. Even contact the family too. So, all right, we're out, guys. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Thank y'all for hitting that like button. If you haven't, just hit it on your way out. We really, really appreciate you making us a part of your evening. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time, to talk more Packers, as that contract could hit any day. I'm kind of expect if it does hit early, it's going to be probably right before they go out on the practice field on the 22nd, kind of like how they did Kenny Clark. So I know we've heard many people talking about that. Wildy and Tausch and Jen Gabe and Chewy and all the other great podcasts that are out there have been talking about the same thing. So that's kind of what it feels like they're doing. Hopefully it is pretty much buttoned up. But nonetheless, we'll be here when it drops, man. We may give you an emergency pod when it does hit, but we're ready for camp. And Emilio, thank you so much for hanging out, man. This was fun.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, for those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. Everybody in the chat, thank you all so much. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.